We will discuss the development of external genitalia. With the formation of the urorectal septum, the cloacal membrane is divided into ventral urogenital membrane and caudal anal membrane. The urogenital membrane become elongated in craniocaudal direction. So initially this is the cloacal membrane. With the appearance of urorectal septum, this is the urogenital membrane and this is the anal membrane. Now indifferent stage is seen in both the sexes. Up to this stage we are not able to differentiate between the external genitalia of male and female. So what is happening in third week of development, mesenchymal cells originating in the region of primitive scree, they migrate around the cloacal membrane to form a pair of slightly elevated cloacal folds. So you can see here at the end of 6th week it is not to distinguish between the two sexes. Now next, what is happening, the cranial to the cloacal membrane, the folds unite and form the genital tubercle. So this is the genital tubercle. Caudally the folds are subdivided into urethral folds. So these are the urethral folds anteriorly and anal folds posteriorly. So these are anal folds. Another pair of swelling appear on either side of the urethral fold called as genital swelling. So this is the genital swelling, forming scrotal swelling in case of males and labia majora in case of females. So this genital swelling is going to form the scrotal swelling in case of males and labia majora in case of females. Now here at this stage there are three elevations which become apparent now. One is genial tubercle. So this is lying anteriorly, that is it is lying in the midline between the urogenital membrane and lower part of the anterior abdominal wall. Then right and left genital swellings. So right and left genital swellings, they appear. In the diagram C you can see. Now what is happening next to it? So if we see this section, coronal plane coronal section, so these are the genital swellings. Now this is a urogenital membrane. In between this, the mesoderm on either side heaped up to form the two longitudinal elevations called as primitive urethral fold. Now with this much knowledge, now we will discuss the development of female external genitalia. The genital tubercle becomes cylindrical and forms the clitoris. The genital swellings enlarge to form the labia majora. The posterior end they fuse across the midline to form the posterior commissure. Now this urogenital membrane, it breaks down. The continuity is established between the urogenital sinus, which forms the urogenital sinus and the exterior. So this urogenital part of the urogenital sinus is going to form the vestibule. So the continuity is established between the urogenital sinus and the exterior. So this is known as the vestibule portion. The primitive urethral fold forms the labia minora. So this is the primitive urethral fold. It is going to form the labia minora, lined outside by the ectoderm and on inside by the endoderm. Now coming to the development of male external genitalia. Under influence of androgens secreted by fetal testes, the genital tubercle, here is the site for genital tubercle, which becomes cylindrical and is called as phallus. Now this phallus pulls the urethral folds forward and form lateral wall of the urethral groove. So this is the urethral groove and these urethral folds are going to form the lateral wall of this urethral groove. Now phallus undergo enlargement to form the penis. Now this groove along the ventral aspect, it extends up to the anterior end, but it is not reaching up to the most distal portion. So groove extends along the ventral aspect of the elongated phallus but does not reach the most distal part, the glans. Now the epithelial lining of the groove, which originate in the endoderm, form the urethral plate. The two urethral folds close over the urethral plate, forming the penile urethra. You can see this epithelium lining of the groove, basically originating from the endoderm, it forms a urethral plate. Later on the urethral folds, they fold in such a manner that they enclose the penile urethra. The most distal part of the urethra is formed during 4th month. This is the most distal portion. The ectodermal cells from the tip of the glans penetrate inward and form the short epithelial cord. Later on the lumen is formed, resulting into external urethral meatus, and the portion of this urethra is given the name glandular part of urethra. So this is external urethral meatus, this is the glandular part of urethra. because it is lying in the glands, thus why its name is glandular part. Now the genital swellings are called scrotal swellings. In males arise in the inguinal region. With further development, they move caudally and each swelling forms the half of the scrotum and two are separated by the scrotal septum. So this is the scrotal septum. Now defects in male external genitalia. First is hypospadias. The incidence is 3 to 5 per 1000 births. In this, the fusion of urethral fold is incomplete. So urethral fold, once they fuse, they enclose the penile urethra. So this fusion is incomplete. So abnormal openings of the urethra, they occur along the ventral aspect of the penis. When fusion of the urethral fold fails entirely, a wide sagittal slit is found along the entire length of the penis. Otherwise, the abnormal urethral orifices, they may appear in here. The two scrotal swellings closely resemble the labia majora. Now, hypospadias, incidence is 1 in 30,000 births. Urethral meatus is found on the dorsum of penis. You can see here on the dorsum of penis it is visible. Most often it is associated with the extrophy of the bladder. So mucosa of the urinary bladder is visible, so anterior abdominal wall defect is there. So it is related with that hypospadias. But hypospadias is basically the urethral meatus is found on the dorsum of penis. Coming to the hermaphroditism, abnormal development of the gonad and the genitalia gives rise to various types of hermaphroditism. A hermaphrodite is really a person who is both a male and female at the same time. Factors that determine whether these organs will develop as in the male or as in the female are: number one is the most important is the chromosomal making of the individual, which is determined at the time of fertilization. So one of the gamete may have an abnormal number of chromosomes. As a result, the zygote is also abnormal. So once the gonad is formed, it produces hormones that influence the development of the internal and external genitalia. So these are the factors which are just responsible for the different conditions. Coming to the type, first that is true hermaphroditism. So this is the type A. There is a testis on one side and an ovary on the other side. One testis and one ovary on other side. There is one testis and one ovary on one side and either one testis or ovary on the other side. So these are the variant of true hermaphroditism. So what are the variants which can happen? So these are the different variants. The external genitalia may be of male or female or midway between the two. The chromosomal sex may be either of male or female. Pseudohermaphroditism is the external genitalia looks like those of one sex, whereas the gonad is of other sex. A patient having testes is described as male hermaphrodite. One having an ovary is described as female hermaphrodite. Gonad and internal genitalia are of one sex, while external genitalia are of opposite sex. So this is one variant of pseudohermaphroditism. So second variant is gonads and external genitalia are of one sex and internal genitalia are of opposite sex. Then gonad of one sex, both internal and external genitalia are of opposite sex. So these are the variants of pseudohermaphroditism. So the reason for the pseudohermaphroditism is by excess of androgen produced by the fetal suprarenal gland or maybe by administration of progestin to the mother during pregnancy. Now coming to the defect in female external genitalia. Clitoris may be absent. Enlargement of the clitoris is seen hermaphroditism. Labia minora are fused. Then urethral opening may be seen on the anterior vaginal wall, which morphologically corresponds to the male hypospadias. So this is all about the development of the male and female external genitalia along with the defects. Now coming to the next topic, that is the development of the prostate. It develops from a large number of buds that are arising from the epithelium of prostatic urethra. Caudal, so which portion? That is caudal portion of vesicourethral canal and pelvic part of the definitive urogenital sinus. So this is the location where the you can say the buds they arise for the development of the prostate. So these buds form secretory epithelium of the gland. If we discuss in case of female, the endodermal bud similar to those that forms the prostate in case of males are also seen in females. Caudal part of the vesicourethral canal forms the urethral glands and pelvic part of the definitive urogenital sinus, it forms the paraurethral glands. Now, if we see the histological structure of the prostate, it has inner glandular zone and outer glandular zone. Inner glandular zone is mesodermal in origin, but bud arising from mesodermal part of the prostatic urethra, that is posterior wall above the opening of the ejaculatory duct. Now, outer glandular zone is endodermal, bud arising from the rest of the prostatic urethra, so they form the outer glandular zone. Now, this outer zone is differentiated earlier than the inner zone. Outer zone is the frequent site of carcinomatous change, and inner zone is affected in senile hypertrophy of organ. The muscles and connective tissues are derived from the surrounding mesenchyme, which forms the capsule of the joint. The secretory elements are rudimentary at birth, undergo considerable development at puberty. So, this is all about the development of the prostate. Thank you very much. If you like my videos, you like my channel, I request you kindly subscribe it, share it. Thank you.